Hello and thanks for stopping by. This is Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers for the Xbox, released by Electronic Arts in 2002. If you're a Lord of the Rings fan, this is probably a game you want. I know there are a few questionable games out there related to Lord of the Rings, but this is a good one. This is a solid hack-and-slash adventure that everyone seemed to have back in the day when it was released. I saw it everywhere. There was also a PS2 version and a GameCube version, and this game sold more than 4 million units. This game basically takes the Fellowship of the Rings and the Two Towers movies, and it builds a game off of both of them. You play different characters, and you play various fighting scenes from the movies. Now, the Xbox was the DVD era of games. Discs were really inexpensive to produce, and they carried a lot of data compared to previous systems. As a result, we started seeing games that captured a lot more gameplay and visuals. Here, we got a button masher that's interspliced with actual footage from the movies. It's hard to argue with the movies themselves. I mean, they won Academy Awards. This game just follows the movies. It pulls from critical story scenes, and it transforms them into basically an action-adventure where you get to mash some buttons and kill a bunch of monsters. There are some designed levels, of course, that help fill in this space, but overall it follows the flow of the movies. I consider this game a button masher, but when I say button mashing, it's not a bad thing necessarily. This is a fun game, and you get to play various characters from the films, and whatever scene you're in, you just have to do your best to kill everything. Some levels will have secondary goals that you have to worry about, but you kind of figure that out as you go. Maybe you're going to need to protect hobbits in the level, or you're going to have to rescue a couple from a burning building. You will become more aware of these when you fail a scene, and basically this just means you got to get through the scene a little quicker. They also throw in level obstacles after a while, which are things you don't really get in the first 4 or 5 levels, like fire. Don't step in fire. Maybe look for a barrel nearby that might have water in it, and if you break it, it'll put the fire out. One level also has explosives in barrels you have to worry about. They blew me up the first time I got back to them, for sure. There are multiple levels here, but each level can be played with multiple characters, so to really complete the game, you kind of have to do each level multiple times. It doesn't really feel monotonous to me because all the characters you have to play, they have different movesets, and when you really get rolling, it's fun to destroy orks and ogres. The controls start out and they're relatively basic. You have a fast attack and a heavy attack. There's a parry and block button, and there's a knockback. That usually is a kick. There is a jump back button, and there's also a killing move. You also have a ranged attack. Now that I say that out loud, it kind of sounds like a lot, but it's not really. I mean, you're going to gravitate towards a few basic attacks, I think, and when you start to get stuck, you're going to start to learn to integrate other options into your arsenal. You have combos, of course, and they work really great when you pull them off. Now, as you kill enemies, you gain experience points, and the quality of your kill will get you more experience. You can flawlessly kill a creature, or excellent, good, fair, and each one will get you a different level of experience. Naturally, you want to hit more combos to get better experience. At the end of the stage, you're going to see all your experience points tallied up, and then you can use those to upgrade your character. Basically, you're going to be able to spend experience like money and acquire new combos. Combos, like most games of this nature, it's just specific button presses at a specific time. Naturally, you're going to have to focus on working the timing out. When you hit combos, they're fun to look at on screen, and they usually kill an enemy outright. The combos are not really crazy or flashy like in a game like Bayonetta or maybe Devil May Cry, but when they drop an orc and you get a really good experience message in front of you, they feel really great. You can save after each level is completed, but not in the middle of levels. There are thresholds for most levels, it seems, so if you do pass a certain point of the level, maybe it's halfway, I guess, but if you pass that mark and die, you would be able to restart from that spot. You won't have to go all the way back to the beginning. But if you shut off the console, it saves at the beginning of a level, so you're going to be starting from the beginning of a level where you saved. Now, I haven't played this game in close to 20 years before this particular time I picked up the controller, but it stuck out in my head as one of the games on the Xbox that's definitely worth playing again. I beat this game back when I first bought it 20 years ago, and I have to say it is definitely fun to replay. I like the movies just fine, and I think the game handles really good. It's also a fixed camera game. I know most, or at least of most modern games, they sort of let you rotate a camera and get a better view of a battlefield, but this is a game that mechanic did not exist. You're really stuck with what the camera gives you, whatever it was programmed to do, really. It kind of feels like a long cinema shot if you think about it, just that the angle of the camera can actually make it a little more difficult to play. You'll get a handle of the controls in the first level or so. The game does ramp up in difficulty, but the early levels, they seem properly built, so you're not going to find yourself getting wiped out a ton, I think, not early on. Eventually you're going to get to a spot where you're going to have to worry about blocking and combos specifically. With me, I think that came around the first time I ran into an ogre. Here's the thing with that. You get used to button mashing, just smashing the buttons, and eventually something dies. And then you kind of need to stop doing that after a while, and you really have to start paying attention. What happens is you start getting greedy, and you want to take that extra swipe with your sword to try to finish something off. You're going to have to learn to not do that. And early on it's not a problem, but a little later into the game, it's going to be a problem. Creatures will start fighting back before you get a chance to finish. So you're going to have to start figuring out how to back off, go in for the right attack at the right time, and make sure that you actually are paying attention to the enemy that you're fighting. The ogre is the perfect enemy to prove this. You have to run in and hit it once and then run out. If you run in and try to do a huge combo on it, you're probably going to get smashed. When you defeat an enemy, in addition to experience, they may drop a green or red potion. If you grab them, it's going to restore your health. There also might be chests hidden around. There aren't a ton of them, but if you break them open, they'll probably give you some free experience, which is always nice. I suppose the one criticism I'd have of the game would be that if I play the game to the end and you play the game to the end, we're going to have the same experience. It's linear, so we have to go through all the same levels, of course, and I'm okay with that part. But the upgrades? There are plenty of them, but it's a finite list, and there's not enough in there for me to have my character end up being different from your character. We're going to have the same stats at the end. We're going to have the same offensive combos at the end. You're going to buy everything because everything is there for you to buy. I would have liked to have some additional customization options. Just something to make it a little different from a second playthrough or a second person playing. I guess it's kind of minor to me overall because, yeah, I'd like to have that difference, but the hack and slash journey is a lot of fun. So, I don't know. Take it for what it's worth. For fans of the movies, there are tons of extras buried in this game just for them. There are interviews with different actors, there are photos, things like that. There are a ton of them, and you can access them from the main map window at the end of a stage. Now, this was the DVD era, so they have lots of space. When we got to this era, they started doing things like this. They include extras in games. Some games, like this one, they had a very specific audience, and they have a large fan base. A large fan base that would be very interested in stuff like this. I think it's pretty good to leverage an audience like that when you can. Well, that's all I have for Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers for the Xbox. Thanks for giving this one a watch, and I'll catch you on another video.